Today we're going to be looking at some PB Swiss tools. Hello, Danny here. In front of me I have a very fancy collection of Swiss-made tools by PB Swiss. Now, disclaimer, I did get these for free because I requested them from PB Swiss. However, I already own a bunch of their tools and use them on a daily basis, so I'm going to give you my honest feedback. I just did this because I really enjoy them and they're fun, and there's a lot of weird things about these tools that they make that I think are noteworthy. And if you're interested in getting them, these are just some things that you should know before you buy. Generally, tools are made more for function than they are for being nice. However, PB Swiss specifically makes the tools as nice as possible, which is why I was kind of drawn into them when I saw them being used on a movie set the first time I was getting introduced to the tools. So talking about the bit set, this is a 30-piece bit set. It's super expensive. This is probably like $100. I could be wrong about that, but I know it costs quite a bit. So one of the things that's really weird and unique about their bit sets is that they have a plasma coating. What is a plasma coating, you ask? Well, that's a great question for science that I can't answer explicitly, but I can tell you the part that matters. Basically, it's putting a thin coat of metal on top of another piece of material, in this case, other metal. It allows you to do basically three different things. You get wear resistance because the outer metal is much harder potentially than the metal inside. You get lubricity. The other one is going to be thermal resistance, which is basically like it's an insulator and it keeps the metal on the inside from heating up too much to where it would be potentially misshapen. Now, just to bring this into greater context, because you don't normally see this on screwdrivers, let me get this out. All right, here are some bits from my CNC machine. These are from Amana Tools. You'll notice that these have a super fancy coating on them, which is also some type of plasma coating. And essentially, especially for CNC machines, because these bits are running constantly in a router against other materials, heat resistance is huge for that, and also maintaining wear resistance, because these things get used to excessive levels of abuse when they're cutting, and you need it to cut precisely for quite a long time. If you use just the raw metal, you will not get the longevity out of them that you would with the coating. Metal is great, but it doesn't last forever, so you need to put additives on it to make sure it maintains that. The only time you might not see something like this being helpful is like for a knife. Like a knife is just generally going to have all the material in the steel itself, and any sort of coating might prevent that material from holding a very nice, beautiful, sharp edge. Anyways, yeah, so they all have that fancy plasma coating on them, which essentially helps them last longer when you're using it for everyday tasks. I just stopped using other bits because I've always found myself to like these. For example, a lot of my woodworking, I usually only build one-offs, and when I'm drilling in different types of screws, I don't have the luxury of making a mistake or stripping a screw and being able to drill in and out to cut a new hole. So every time I drill a screw in, it needs to be perfect. There are no do-overs. It's very hard to do a do-over. So I'd rather just buy the best bits that I can that are not going to compromise anything. I don't want the limiting factor to be my tool. It should be my fault over the tool's fault. I'm trying to eliminate that variable. So if you look at PB Swiss's write-up, the only things they advertise them as is for rust resistance and easy selection of different bits, which, yeah, they're different colors, get it. Well, interestingly enough, I found out the reason that they all have different colors is not because they're necessarily done with different materials. It literally just has to do with the thickness of the coating on top. A certain thickness will reflect a certain color versus another, and so you get that. So who knew that bubbles and screwdriver plasma coatings had something in common? Let's talk about screwdrivers. The first one I'll talk about is the Phillips classic handle style. This is a stubby screwdriver they have. It is actually very classy looking. Like when you think of a screwdriver, this red color with the transparency is exactly what I think of as like the iconic screwdriver. It does kind of look like a red sapphire or something, which I think is also why I'm attracted to it, but not in a weird way. This is made out of cellulose acetate butyrate, which is like a natural material that you can derive from like cotton or I think a few different kinds of plants. It's a super durable material. Most like solvents can't dissolve it. There are some, you can look them up, but in general it's going to hold up pretty well. One way you know it's a PB Swiss screwdriver instead of another brand is if you smell it. It actually smells like vanilla. And the reason for that is because cellulose acetate butyrate, once it gets worn down, apparently it has like a vomit smell. So the vanilla smell kind of helps counteract that for long-term use, which is also kind of speaks towards, like, this company literally thought about the smell of the screwdriver and put in a countermeasure for that. You don't find many manufacturers that are going to think that far down the road for something like that. So beyond this screwdriver, if you need a little bit more grip, is the Multicraft grip here. It's made out of the same exact material as this one. They just put a slightly different hand style, and they roughed up the handle just for a little extra grip. It's just an elastomer, rubber-like material covering up some sort of core inside. And this is going to be your ideal grip for doing high torque stuff if you have like oil on your hands or something like that. Color-coded top that tells you exactly what kind of bit it is. It's just easier to organize. The Multicraft has it too, however it's just not color-coded, so this is a little bit nicer for my taste. The other grips they have here that I've never gotten to use, that I was just really curious about, was I think this is called their cross handle. All it is just to give you more torque, and you can hang it off like a lanyard or something if you do something repetitively. Back when I worked in the movie industry, when we were messing with like building silks and scrims for lighting stuff, and we had to put the metal connector pieces together, they were all connected with Allen keys, and so these came in handy for just really quick application for putting those things together. Obviously you can get, many manufacturers make this kind of handle. PB Swiss just happens to make the one that looks a little bit nicer, and it adheres to my taste a little bit better. You have the sliding T handle, which is generally crafted for Allen keys as well. However, it's just got a slightly different form factor, and I actually don't know where you would use these specifically. I'm sure there's a certain application that you would use these in, but these things are really nice. Like, my God, the shaping, or whatever you call the milling of this tool, is very precise. For example, this T part up here, you can actually actuate it to different sides, and they actually machined a little divot in the bottom so that it locks into place at the different locations, which is just super dope. Like, that's super nice. It feels really good in the hands. And I do not think you will find a better T-handle than this, to be quite honest. This is like, I'm a guy, I just like metal things, you know, so this really impressed me. The very last thing I asked them to send me was just a little MultiBit screwdriver that can hold other bits. One of the things I noticed that PB Swiss does really well is they have very precise fits into other pieces, which is just a weird way of saying that the bits fit well together. Like, there's very little play. Obviously, if you look at this, yeah, there's a little bit of play in there, but you want a little bit of play so that way it actually comes out of the bit. If it was a totally precise fit, it would just be very difficult to get out of there. It's got a magnetic insert inside of it, and they just kind of snap together in place. This is quite literally just very enjoyable. These bits are probably a little bit long for this. If you're really going to use this stubby style, you probably want the really short bits, but my God, just listen to that. Okay, gonna take you into my wood shop. Wood shop. Down here I actually have a variety of bits. Number 2 screwdrivers here, ready to go if I need them. They're very easy to lose. You come over here, there's my CNC router. As you can see, I have a Torx bit ready to go here. A lot of times I'll use like deck screws to hold stuff in place when I'm routing it in. It's a lot faster than screwing in each piece. I kind of fit a piece so that it fits in there perfectly and can't move around. Believe it or not, I've been able to get the PB Swiss number 2 to actually use that screw. It's about time to replace it. Over here, I have an awl ready to go. It's just, all this literally is just a super sharp tool for scratching into wood. And that is very useful sometimes for making very distinct lines. Yep, so up here I just have a multitude of random screwdrivers. I use this one for what you're not supposed to use it for. I use it for prying, which is not what these are designed to use, but it holds up like a champ. And as you can see, the cellulose butyrite has definitely worn off on this one, but whatever, that's fine. I've got some stubbies up here I'll occasionally use. And then I also have a multitude of other ones, other good brands. Vessel, really good Japanese brand. Yeah, I do use these tools on a frequent basis. I hope you enjoyed this review. I have a lot of tools now. In fact, I have too many tools. So I'm going to be sending these over to my fellow YouTuber, Michael's Cars. He does a really crazy YouTube channel about his car and a bunch of other really interesting things. He just has a weird, crazy, interesting, smart mind. And I wanted to send them, see what he thought. So check out his channel if you haven't gotten a chance. And if you like these tools, if he has time, you will probably see another PB Swiss tool video from him. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.